Okay, next question.
Hello, gentlemen. Connor Tomlinson, Courage Media. As a Brit, believe me, I empathise with Israel's desire to vaporise their jihadist neighbours who can't help but lob mortars over the fence every 5 minutes. But, especially for we Nat Cons in Europe who are under siege from our own governments engaging in replacement migration, this does have consequences. And so the conflict that's running parallel to and preceding the Iran war is October the 7th, the war in Gaza, ever since. And multiple members of Knesset, since 2023, have suggested that Europe should receive the displaced Palestinians that Israel, for reasons I understand, cannot live alongside. Yesterday, our government in the UK announced that they're expediting the rate at which students from Gaza can now come into my country. So how can Israel conduct this war against its enemies in a way that doesn't punish us and put terrorists in my living room?
I definitely don't think that I would not like to see, and I would actively, vocally oppose bringing any Gazans into any countries that don't want them, certainly including the United States and including European countries. I think that there's a very good chance that they would be radical, and that they would be very loosely and weakly vetted and share views which would be anathema to the success, really, of Western countries. Certainly, I would like to see the war prosecuted in Gaza in a way that minimizes and even eliminates any civilian bloodshed. That will require some separation between the civilians and the terrorists, but we do know, just look at 10/7. On 10/7, that wasn't just a Hamas operation. It involved at least 1,000, not even including the firing of Katyusha rockets in Gaza, but 1,000, supposed civilians going into southern Israel, chopping off heads, setting entire families on fire. This was carried out not just by Hamas, but by about 1,000 so-called civilians. If you look at the Shikaki polling data, which I've looked at for about 20 years, and it surveys the opinions of Palestinians, they are arguably the most extreme population in the entire world in terms of their support for terrorism, violence, suicide operations. So I feel for you, and I support you, and I would push back against welcoming that population into your home country.
So Curt does have a remark, but what I want to suggest is we'll take the next question, and Curt, if you want to just take the note you mentally have and add that to whatever response might come next. So, yes, sir.
Hello, Gamliel Atlan from Israel. My question is addressed to Curt. Apart from the perspective that might sound a bit naive, that you could negotiate with terrorists, not like in general, how does the US prevent the next 9/11? And secondly, how strategic allies, according to you, that are military partners of the US, let's say Taiwan and Israel, should they forget, according to your point of view, the US as a strategic and military ally?
Okay. Per Dan's instruction, I will note that Max did not really answer the spirit of Connor Tomlinson's question, which is, where should the Gazans go? Should they go here? Should they go to Europe? And he is quite correct that members of the Israeli Congress, the Knesset, have said they should go to Europe and they should go to US. I understand that fringe members in the Knesset don't necessarily speak for the country writ large. Same thing in the House of Representatives, but it is in the mainstream of Israeli society. And there's basically two options then, as far as I can tell. Kill them all, which I think you've had overtly genocidal rhetoric, to put it mildly, from the Israeli government. Or two, put them in a country like Libya, which, to answer how to avoid a new 9/11, don't put them all in a country like Libya, would be my answer. Okay? As to strategic allies, we don't hold our word here. It's clear we're not holding our word. It's clear that U.S. politics is extremely unstable, and that from administration to administration, they're going to have wholly different foreign policy priorities. I always give this cut that the greatest danger of a Democratic administration is a war with Russia, and the greatest danger of a Republican administration is a war with Iran, and thus, accordingly, it's more ethical to be a Republican, because at least that won't end the world, probably. So I think if I were sitting in Taipei right now, and I think Taipei's messaging, frankly, has been ludicrously counterproductive for their own ends, I would not want an America overstretched. I would not want my broker, my banker, to not be able to afford to intervene on my behalf. And the way that that would happen is if the U.S. prioritizes. And because to the extent that I'm hawkish on anything, to the extent that I have sympathy with the hawks on any issue, it is China. But there's no way we're going to be able to handle it if we're doing a three-front war. And that is what was so dangerous about June. If Xi had gone into Taiwan, I don't think we would have been able to defend them.